Good morning. It's Market Day Report. I'm Tony. Hey, thanks for allowing us to be a part of your day as we prepare to open the markets in about 15 minutes. A market I want to look at first, and I can't recall ever looking at this market first when we start these conversations. What market is it? It's sugar. Look at this. The sugar market is trading in higher territory. Now, this is also a market that's closed higher the last two sessions. Now, over the year to date, numbers are not real good for sugar, as that market's been down about 15%. So why is that sugar market moving higher? Well, we'll talk more about that in just a moment. So hang on. This could be a pretty big story. And it could be tied back over to this as well, the corn market. In the overnight session, old crop 404.5 off 3/4 of a penny lower on the D's at 423. Soybean trade, beans breaking out yesterday, but back into the red overnight. November at 10.20, down a half penny. And soy meal, what's happening there? Meal contracts are lower across the board. Soy oil remains higher with a couple of contracts hitting 55. Wheat market, Chicago, nickel lower on the September overnight at 536.25. That's near the low for the overnight session. And hard red down 3 at 519.75. And the cotton market in the overnight session, 2 ticks higher, 68.58. Let's go to Springfield, Missouri. President, Midwest Market Solutions is Brian Hoops. Brian, we get a weekly export sales report out from USDA. But before we do that, do you know why we're looking at sugar and corn? Have you seen any headlines at all that reference this?
Well, it's another Trump trade, if you want to call it that. He announced yesterday that Coca-Cola had agreed to not use high fructose corn syrup, and they're going to use regular sugar from now on. So that's why sugar futures are finding a little bit of a bounce in here. A little bit of a demand blow to corn usage. We use a small percentage, 1.5% of the crop is used to produce the syrup. So it's a very small percentage that's not going to be used and really doesn't have a big demand story, but it's a little bit of a negative number there for corn to have to overcome and deal with. But again, it's very, very small percentage, and it's just Coca-Cola at this point. So we're seeing a little bit of strength because of that in the sugar market. It's been down, as you mentioned, and really needed some sort of a boost in the arm, and maybe this is the catalyst for it. Now, our export sales that you mentioned, report that was out this morning, as it is every Thursday morning, it is factoring in the holiday of the 4th of July, Independence Day. So it's going to be down a little bit because we had one less day, but certainly a little disappointing. Marking year low for old crop corn at only 3.8 million bushels. The new crop was 22.3. Wheat came in at 18.2. And soybeans, probably the best of the three, coming in at 19.5 million for the new crop and about 10 million for old crop. So again, not going to have much of an impact, I don't think, on the overall trade for the rest of the trading session. Market is looking at weather forecast and I think from a technical standpoint, certainly eyeing the gaps that came after the Independence Day holiday. When we opened Sunday night, we gap lower corn, soybeans, and wheat. Wheat has filled its gaps, but corn and soybeans, those gaps still remain. If we can get any type of a bounce, that seems like a logical place where this market is going to try and rally towards to fill those gaps.
Brian, you referenced the sales on the old crop. I'm just curious about the new crop. I looked at new crop, and I don't have it in bushels. I just have it metric tons. But corn, 565, nearly 566,000 metric tons of new crop. Soybeans, we saw 529 there. But I'm just curious here. Did you see China anywhere in those row crop sales? I didn't.
Yeah, they've been largely absent, and they will probably continue to be absent. They only want to buy from the United States when they have to, when they run out of supplies from South America or Colombia or another country. And that's what President Trump is trying to stop, is that type of trade. He wants them to buy from the United States and repair this trade imbalance. That's the whole point of these tariffs and the negotiations, is so that they will buy from the United States instead of these other countries, and only buy from the US when they absolutely have to. Our sales were okay for new crop. The beans were 19.5 million bushels, corn was 22.3, and that's without any Chinese involvement. A lot of that corn is being sold to Mexico and the European Union on the new crop variety.
All right, Brian, hang on just a minute. I did find where China is buying something from the U.S. We'll talk about that in a moment. Market Day Report continues after this. Let's talk cash sales quickly here. In the South, 230. That's Kansas. Very light trade. In the North at 238. And again, just somewhat spotty trade there. The asking price is still higher. Now, tighter show list for both Kansas or Nebraska and Texas, but a little more available in Kansas, dressed at 380, and that's where we are. Let's go live cattle futures. We don't trade these in the overnight session. So yesterday was 2 days higher at the close for live cattle. So a 2-day rally going here. August at 238.87, up $1.47. Let's look at feeder cattle. Feeder cattle also 2 consecutive days higher. August 325.80, up 352. Gained same for September, but a dime higher than that August contract. And then the hog trade. The August up 62, 104.55. Let's bring back in Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. I looked pretty closely in pork. I didn't see China there. I looked at beef, and I didn't see China there. But I did see China over in the hides. So they are still buying something that's related to our livestock, I guess.
Yeah, it's not what we want them to buy, but they're at least they're buying something. And again, it's probably only when they have to buy it from the US is they're going to come to the US market. So that's something that we're trying to change. And it's a little pain here in the short term. Hopefully it's a longer term benefit to get a new trade agreement worked out with China, and hopefully they honor it, as they didn't quite meet the phase 1 trade agreements the first time around. Our beef sales, again, are going to be down because of the holiday. There were only 8.8 million tons. Pork sales, 17.1. That's down from what we have been doing here recently. You mentioned some cash cattle trade. There's just a handful of trade in Kansas that's being actually shipped into Nebraska. As you said, numbers are much tighter in the north, and those cattle are actually being shipped up there, is what we've been told. And so the cash market standoff largely continues in the southern plains and in the north. We should see additional cash trade developing maybe late today or tomorrow. Next week, you have a cattle on feed report, and that report looks to be friendly once again. And I think that's going to kind of be an impetus to get some cattle secured ahead of that report. And maybe by the end of this week, we see that steady, maybe even slightly higher money starting to creep in, because that's what the feedlots are looking for after a couple-day rally in the futures market.
All right, Brian, we'll see what happens in the trade today. And we'll see you back in the morning. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. And